Hi, I'm Pete, and welcome to Just a Few Acres Farm. Since the last video on this old international truck, I've done a lot of research, I've ordered some parts, and I've come up with a plan for getting this engine running again. I'll get to that later, but right now we got to figure out how we're going to pull it out of the truck. Pulling the engine isn't as easy as you might think. There's two bolts in the front, and then it's bolted to the transmission in back, but it's not as simple as just undoing those bolts and pulling the engine out. We'll dive under here and I'll show you why. Let me orient you from the bottom here. Of course, here's the engine, the oil pan's off of it. Here's the bell housing, or the clutch housing. It's got the clutch in it. And then if I come back, this greasy thing here is the transmission. On the back of the transmission, there's a parking brake that goes around the drive shaft here, and then the drive shaft comes back, and there's a bearing on a frame cross member here, and then the drive shaft extends back to the differential. There's two problems with just pulling the engine out. Number one is this frame cross member here has the rear flange of the bell housing behind it where it bolts to the transmission, and you can't scooch that ahead without running into the cross member. So that's problem number one. Here's problem number two, shown from a different angle. This is the bottom of the clutch housing. There's a pan that removes here. This is the back of the engine right here where it mates to the clutch housing. You can't remove the engine from the clutch housing because the bolts are inside the clutch housing. Now, if you want to pull the engine plus the clutch housing, there's a shaft that's attached to the front of the transmission here, the clutch shaft that runs up and into the back of the crankshaft into a pilot bearing. That shaft stays with the transmission, so I can't slide the engine out far enough that way forward to clear that long clutch shaft, which has got to be about 1 foot long to pull it out. So engine and bell housing need to come out at once, and transmission needs to be slid back enough to do that operation. Not as easy as you might think. When I'm thinking about it, looking for an easier way, the manual says to remove the engine, first remove the transmission. I wonder. So I'll start with the drive shaft here. It's going to be noisy for a while because the neighbors are mowing the lawn. This is just a bearing retainer here that goes around the drive shaft. I'll drop this muffler too so it's not in the way crawling around underneath. She's not in very good shape. I don't know, I think I could patch that. This is the front of that section of drive shaft at the rear of the transmission. We'll disconnect that next. This is one of the ways I keep track of where bolts go. Put them back in the holes. Pretty cool band brake, parking brake on the drive shaft. Pretty simple. That's out of the way. Speedometer cable. And I realize everything just looks like one black greasy mess. Lots of little staples. That's the lid of the transmission. I think I might take it off so I can pull the lever out and get everything back. Parking brake's got to come off too. Here's the other end of the parking brake linkage. The issue is the stick shift's going to get in the way when I try and slide the transmission back, so it's got to come off. Put her in neutral. Well, maybe I already lost that opportunity. Gears and oil. Shift forks. Now I can get at the clutch linkage from above a lot easier. Let me show you here. She's all free. This is where it bolts onto the back of the engine bell housing. Here's the engine bell housing starting right here. And I've got the transmission all freed up. There's no frame support for the transmission. It just hangs off the end of the engine here. So 6 bolts and she's out. Well, we better drain the oil out of the transmission before we drop it. She's got a lot of rust proofing on her. Oh! Who put that in there? I can get 2 of these bolts from above, which makes it easy. Actually, I might be able to get 4. That'd be nice. Well, you're still going to be stubborn, huh? Not as stubborn as I am. Wow. That's sludge. Here's the bottom bolts. And they face the other way. There's a hole in the cross frame. Hopefully it'll exit through that hole. I think it will. 1 bolt left in the transmission. No, yeah, 1. This one's loose, so I don't think she's really connected anymore. Yeah, there we go. I'm just making it up as I go along here. I don't really care if it falls. I just need to be able to slide it back, so that's why that's there. This is the last bolt. Remember, the clutch shaft goes up front and in, so That's still going to hold it in. Bolts are all out. Pretty tight on the clutch shaft. She turns. Get in there. There we go. So that's the clutch shaft out of the pilot bearing. Now we just need to jiggle her back. Is she gonna fall? Probably. Brace yourself. Well, let's let this jack down and see what happens. And that's how you do it. There isn't much to it. It's just a gearbox. There's the parking brake, the band brake. Just shaft, counter shaft, reverse shaft in there, reverse idler. Real simple. Here's what she looks like from the underside. That's the back side of the bell housing where the transmission made it up. There's the hole in the cab floor. And finally, I can sit up in here between the frame rails. There's the back side of the clutch. She looks pretty clean in there. I guess the mice didn't get in. Well, that one's busted. I'm going to take this cover off the bottom of the bell housing. I think it'll make it a little easier to jiggle the engine around when I pull it out. Two rear engine mounts. One here in the frame cross member. Well, she's got a nut on top of her. Castle nut? Yeah, it's buried under all this grease. Cotter pin removed from castle nut. The back of the engine should be all done, but I'm a little worried because that lip hangs down there so far behind that cross member. I don't know if I got enough room at the firewall to bump it up before I pull it out. I guess we'll find out. Let's get the front of the engine cleared off, starting with the generator here. That was a lot easier. That could probably stay on for now. I'm going to sneak you out the other way. Will that work? I think it might. Yep. That's a heater hose. Fuel line from the gas tank up to the fuel pump here. Come on. oil pressure sender down here. That was easy. This weird strap, I don't know if it's a ground strap or what. There's another ground strap on the rear of the engine. And then underneath in front here, we got two engine mounting bolts here and here. Oh, they got safety wire on them. Now it is unsafe. Oh, you're tight. She didn't break. But that is still bugging me. I still don't think I can get it free from underneath the cab bottom there. I just don't think it's going to fit. It's got to go up to get over this rail here. See here from in back and underneath? This is one piece, part of the bell housing. And here's the back, and it's got to go up to get over this cross member here. But I only got that. I got a slope here, so it's got a, I don't know. It's going to be really close. She's definitely ready to go, though. While we're under here, this is the brake master cylinder. It says Wagner Lockheed under it. And the clutch does not have hydraulic assist. It's just mechanical. Here's the lever that goes to the throw out here. And there's the clutch up there. That makes things simpler. We had to get that crank pulley to clear this front member, and we're just about there. The back has come out some. Our problem right here. This flange hasn't cleared it yet. It needs to be lifted up in the back so it'll slide forward. Henry, go see if that pulley is hitting the front. I can't believe they'd make this so difficult to remove. That's amazing. There she is, and what a pain she was. I don't look forward to putting it back in. In fact, I might debate taking the cab off to put it back in. Here's a mistake I made, probably one of many. This radiator mounting bracket that bolts on down there should have come off, and then the engine would have had more room to slide ahead. Live and learn, I guess. best way I found to break a bead on an old tire. I got a new one. This one got a hole in the back side of it. It's the next morning. Henry and I took some time yesterday afternoon, put a new front tire on the tractor. Henry and I are going to strip this engine down to bare block to get it ready to go to the machine shop. Fuel pump. Oil filter. Give her a yank, Henry, up the top, and she should pull right off. Yep. There you go. Oil pressure sender. This vent. Oh, is that hooked to something inside? Valve tappet cover. That's all of them, Henry. Stick your screwdriver in here and there you go.
There we go.
Twist it. Twist this. There you go. Oil pump underneath. This line runs up to the filter. It's got to come off first. Actually, you know, we just leave that connected. She's tight up in the bore. Ready? We're good. Generator. Oh, thank you, squirrels. Pull the clutch out next. Loosen up the pressure plate and let that relax. We just turn it around, work them all off kind of at the same time so the springs relax. Come on out, you. Here's the driven disc. This clutch is in darn good shape. Plenty of meat left on the driven disc. Yeah. Huh. Take the flywheel off. Not much wear on the flywheel either. Pilot bearings, good, fine. Now we got 6 bolts that mount the clutch housing to the engine block. It's probably got a dowel or two in it to align it. Clutch housing.
Hey.
Now we'll see how much of a struggle this front pulley is going to be. Well, the nut was easy enough. I'll just pull it off. No, it's not going to happen. See, we got these. This is a harmonic balancer. For some reason, they got these bolts holding the outer end. So I think I can pull on the harmonic balancer without running into problems. Let's see if this is in two pieces. I kind of wonder if this piece of rubber in the harmonic dampener was replaceable this way. It comes apart. It's smooth.
There we go.
Front cover. Next is the rear main seal, or at least the lower half of it.
This is going to be slow going.
Yeah, can't get at the bolts any other way. Probably just got a gasket on it.
Yep. Oh,
Well,
shoot.
what happened?
Fell right into the piston. There.
That's okay, we'll get it later. Just leave the caps in place and we'll pull them out
Okay.
after all the bolts are out. There's the thrust bearing. Should be marked on the camshaft side. Well, we know that that's bearing number 4 because it's the thrust bearing. But we don't know orientation. Well, we'll set that one down in order, in the right orientation. These are the thrust bearings here. It's a multi-piece thrust bearing. You got separate pieces to take the thrust. We'll keep all of them in order, just in case. They got to be marked someplace. They always are. Oh, I got some scoring in it. If these are marked, I can't find the mark. So we'll keep them the way they came out and mark them with a punch when we're done. It's number 2. Wow, that's really got a lot of wear on it. Definitely going to need new bearings, if not crankshaft grind.
Are they all different? Is that why they need to be kept separate?
Well, when they make the motor, they'll line bore through with the bearing caps on, so each one is particular because you have different tolerances in the machining here. So it's nothing's ever exact, right? It's made within a certain tolerance, and so that's why the cap's got to be the right orientation and in the right spot, because they mate. They were machined that way.
Let's see.
And the thrust bearing too.
That's heavy. Got it?
Yep. Keep track of these guys with their mates. Upper half of the rear main seal. She should just pop right off, Henry.
Yep.
This is just a two-piece felt seal, just like on old IH tractors. Tappets, lifters, man, they're in there sticky. We'll keep these in order so they match their bores. This is one. Three. Four. One last thing. Come off there. There we go. Front cover plate. I'll give you some shots of the stripped down block. There's the underside. Probably just looks black on the camera. Oh, one last thing, we'll pop out these soft plugs so we can clean out the cooling jacket. I can't see squat in there, but I don't see lots of flaky corrosion, so that's good, at least from what I can see. Just dried up antifreeze. A little bit of International Harvester trivia. At the factory with sleeved engines, they would put a letter next to each bore. That's a C, an A, a B, C, 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 and that would designate minute differences in the size of the bore so they could put the right size sleeve in. Sleeves came in, I think, 10,000ths they would measure to for the sleeves. Even though this is a sleeveless engine, it's just parent bore with piston in it, they still did that with the letters to designate different sizes. So I don't know if the pistons were a slightly different size or what originally. Here we are with the engine out of the truck and all stripped down and transmission laying over there, and folks will ask me in a pragmatic fashion as usual, why are you doing this? And my answer is, I don't know, because I enjoy it and because I like to have a reason to spend time with my son. That's the only reason. I don't have a big plan in mind. If I were going to do a complete restoration, probably I would have popped the cab and the fenders and things off, all the sheet metal first thing, and then started working from the frame up. Kind of like I do tractors, you strip them down first. But for this truck right now, all I want to do is hear the engine run again, and then we'll go from there. And hopefully that'll happen before it's snowing outside this winter. I'm putting off doing more work on the tractor in the shop because the weather's nice. I really like being a shade tree mechanic. I love working outside here when I can, and the work on the 856 from this point on is pretty tedious. It's cleaning and repairing things assembly by assembly, painting. You know, I like this. This is a nice break. What's coming next? Well, it's already underway. I took the cylinder head to David Richards' machine shop last week. He has his own YouTube channel. He has a steam-powered machine shop in the back and a production machine shop in the front. It's pretty cool. He does great work on cylinder heads. He's done a few for me. So he's working on that. The engine block is going down to a machine shop that's east of Binghamton, New York. And I talked to the owner. I've had work done there before as well. I talked to the owner and he said, we can make this engine run again. He said, I explained to him about the pistons not being available. He thinks he can either cross them to a piston from a catalog that might have gone in something else that's got the same dimensions, or as a last case scenario, we can order custom pistons. Certainly the engine block needs to be bored, oversized, however many thousandths, 30 thousandths, whatever it is, to make a nice clean surface for the pistons to ride in. And he'll take a look at the crankshaft and everything else, and we'll go from there. So it's fun. I'm enjoying this project a lot, and I hope you are too. I'll see you next time.